The Secretary gave us some specificity in terms of what the President may consider completing a mission or achieving objectives as it pertains to Americans. Do you guys have a specific threshold or number when it comes to Afghans about what would define completing the mission or your objectives by August 31st in terms of evacuations?
We've never put a cap on the number of special immigrant visa applicants, the number of individuals who can apply for our variety of programs that are overseen by the State Department. And I'm not going to put a cap on that today. I'd also note that, as the Secretary of State said, we will continue, and we are continuing to look at a range of options to provide support and to provide a means for departing Afghanistan even after our U.S. military departs.
So there's nothing where you guys are looking at maybe the existing SIV backlog pre-August 14th and saying we want all 18,000?
We are not putting a cap on the number. We are continuing to work every day to get as many people evacuated as we can.
And just one more quick one. You guys have been very clear in stating these numbers are Americans that want to leave. There are clearly Americans, many of them dual citizens, who are also choosing not to leave.
Yeah.
What is the level of concern inside the administration about dual citizens or American citizens who choose to stay in the country at this point?
Well, I know this is very hard to understand for many people sitting here, and I think this is why you're asking this question. Or not sitting here, even, I should say, people who watch your shows or read your newspaper. But many of the people, we suspect, many of the people of these 1,000 contacts are dual citizens. Some, as Secretary Blinken noted, are people who may not be ready to leave. For a variety of reasons. Maybe they have an extended family there. Maybe they've spent their entire lives in Afghanistan and they have not yet made the decision to depart. Maybe they're working on a range of projects. They're not ready to leave. I know that is hard for us to understand as we're looking at the images, but for many of these Afghans, this is their home. And yes, they are dual citizens. Yes, it is absolutely our responsibility to make sure we are reaching out to them multiple times. We are providing opportunity. We are finding ways to get them to the airport and evacuate them. But it is also their personal decision on whether they want to depart. Go ahead.
Could I just follow up a little bit on some of Nancy's questions about
Sure.
refugees?
Yeah.
So first, you talked about the vetting that's going on outside of the United States, after they leave Iraq. I'm sorry.
Oh, not out.
Afghanistan.
I didn't mean to imply outside of. Well, some of it is happening in Qatar, but some of it is happening here.
Okay, but I mean, it's before the people come to the United States, right? It's happening before they arrive.
Yes.
So a lot of that vetting, some of the pace of that vetting is within your control. You can add more people, you can add more interviewers.
And we have done that.
But a lot of it is not in your control, right? Like somebody comes to you with no documents. It takes time to figure out where's the actual birth certificate. It takes time to find documents that prove 10 years of residency. It takes time to get the kind of proof that the FBI and some of these agencies like to use. So, does that all add up to refugee camps in these transit centers across the globe with tens of thousands of Afghans sitting for months, years, whatever? I mean, it doesn't sort of add up to those of us who sort of have seen that process. Back in 2015, when you were in a previous administration, one of the things that you guys argued was that the refugee community in particular was the most vetted community of people entering the United States, and you pointed to the fact that it takes a year or two for the typical refugee to sort of meet that burden. So I guess the question is, how can you possibly not have this, and where are you going to put these people?
So, okay, there was a lot of questions wrapped up in there. Let me do the best I can here. No, it's okay. I mean, all good questions. First, I would say, even prior to the last month or two, we took steps to expedite processing in the SIV pipeline. And I would remind you that for quite some time, it was a program that was frozen in March of 2020, and hardly anything was done for policy reasons, in part by the prior administration. It wasn't a program they necessarily supported, and also because of COVID. So we worked to expedite and actually had some success over the course of the few months in the spring, even before evacuation flights took place, to do exactly that. As Jake Sullivan said the other day, it was also not a program, to your point, that was planned for speed because of all of the requirements. Because what Americans should also be assured of is that there is no one coming in through any of these programs who has not gone through a background check process and has been vetted. That is our responsibility to the American people, and one we will abide by. Hence, we are incredibly grateful to these third countries who are providing a place for a number of many tens of thousands of people to be for this period of time. And we have put a wide range of staff, personnel, and others on the vetting process from a range of agencies to ensure that we can take steps to expedite as quickly as possible. You're right that some of this is dependent on documents and is dependent on information being available. But I will just close with, and then I may have missed some of your questions, but this is incredibly difficult. We're very clear-eyed about that. And these Afghans, many of them who are departing, who are still in process, made the decision, and we made the decision too, that evacuating them because they are vulnerable, because their lives are at risk, and moving them to a third country, even if they are in transition for a period of time, is preferable to their lives being threatened.
And one more question here
Sure.
is that, okay, so assume that the people that are vetted, once they're vetted,
Yep.
they come to the United States.
Yep.
Is it the commitment of this administration that all of those people, 100% of the people who have gotten through the vetting screens, obviously there might be some that fail and won't come to the United States, but that all the people that come are going to be granted legal permanent residency and a path to citizenship in the United States? Or is it possible that some of those people will have to apply through other programs and could be deported back to Afghanistan?
Well, once individuals arrive in the United States, they will be eligible to apply for asylum or other available immigration pathways, which have as a condition additional screening processes and procedures. So no, we can't guarantee anyone anything, but certainly we are also working with a range of countries around the world to ensure there are safe places for individuals who are fleeing from Afghanistan, have safe places to be.
You wouldn't see a situation where you might reject somebody's asylum application and send them back to Afghanistan?
I don't anticipate that being the plan. Go ahead.